who is the senior electrician of the shift. For a moment, the image in Loab's eyes swayed and blurred, and an unfamiliar voice pulled him out of his half-sleep and hit him on the temples with a sharp hammer. He shook his head, almost choked on saliva, and rose from the table to meet the unexpected guests. It's like Harriet's today. He's sitting in the back office, right at the last door. Despite all his extensive experience answering video calls in his sleep, Loab found the answer insufficiently clear and corporate. He stretched as relaxed as possible, doing his best to pretend that he was tired right here at his workplace, because he is a very responsible employee, and not some disheveled idiot who was caught off guard while he decided to take a nap from idleness. It had to be so fucked up. And even at the beginning of the reporting quarter, the Black Jackets rarely went down to that floor, and their visits never promised anything good. I shouldn't have caught their eye at all. I wish I could close the door. Either the hangover and sleepless night made themselves felt, or today these guys were extremely gloomy. There were two of them, and they were in a hurry. Something unpleasant has happened. But what? As soon as they disappeared through the door, Loab woke up the operator's workplace interface and requested diagnostics for all systems. At first glance, there were no serious accidents in the tangle of moving lines, circles and squares, red dots and any serious accidents. It was almost lunchtime, and the log from the night shift also showed nothing serious. Hey Loab, are you logged in? Now the nervous Harriets broke into his closet, the Black Jackets returned and stood a little apart. Yes, I just entered. What's there? I don't see anything serious yet. There are production lines 1 and 4. There is no connection. No connection? I'll take a look. No errors visible. Highlighted in gray, and true. The diagnostic system does not show anything. Nothing at all. No sensors. It's kind of weird. Have they been dismantled? Is there any work going on there? There were no orders to stop these lines, repair or dismantle them. They've been standing since the night before. It can't be. Now I'll try to reboot the whole system. Maybe there's some kind of glitch at the software level. I don't remember any major updates the other day. Wait a bit. Did the cybersecurity department report anything? Maybe an attack. Although it doesn't look like a virus. So, it's being loaded. Power is being supplied there. The emergency switches did not work. There is no signal from the entire sensor network. Well, the central conductor can't be damaged, right? The senior engineer of the workshop has already sent a drone there. And? He's not answering. At first restless, caught off guard, Harriets was also getting gloomy in his eyes, and his anxiety was already beginning to indulge Loab. My heart was thumping uncomfortably in my chest, sweat and a barely noticeable tremor appeared in my fingertips. Instead of giving clear answers, Loab started mumbling and couldn't get his bearings. Out of order? Well, then let them send a second one. Hey, Loab, you did not understand. They don't want to send a second one. What do you mean? It's worth 50 grand. They want us to go down and check the whole line manually. Did you go down into the tunnel? Well, yes, let's go. We need to prepare. But only you have permission for such work, Harriets. I am a junior specialist. I can only pick at the switchboards, weak points, automation equipment, communications and signaling, but not the power line. I won't be allowed in until a year later. If I pass the exams the first time, of course. I'm not going in there alone. Pack up, let's go, it's an order. And why should I obey? What are you afraid of? Loab looked at the Black Jackets standing at a distance. They seemed not to notice this scene. They were talking about their own, but clearly they were waiting for some action and immediately. Harriets bent down from above and continued in a whisper. Did you go there yourself? Of course I'm afraid. Turn off the power to everything, I'll tell them that it's necessary. Can we persuade them to send a second drone? If their software is buggy, I'm ready to manually manage and find the fault. I'll even be late at work. They won't let you burn down another drone, even if you pay its full cost, which I doubt. They don't need such reporting this year. We're going to get in there because it's our job. That's enough. Get ready. It's not up for discussion. Damn it, okay, don't get all worked up. I'm disconnecting the lines and getting ready. Are you ready? Loab adjusted the safety net, tightened the strap of the helmet he was wearing for the first time, examined the boots, tightened the laces, hid their knitting in the boot and tightened the gloves. Harriets looked gray and 10 years older, but at least his hands weren't shaking like Loab's. Yes. We're going down. It was a long way to go. The plant went underground for an average distance of 80 to 100 meters and covered almost 3 kilometers across. Strictly speaking, it was not built underground, but rather filled a suitable basin with thousands of tons of concrete and steel. And already the rest was built on top. A business district for rent, a small park as part of a landscaping program, and, of course, a row of Sprittletech skyscrapers with a research institute and a couple of industrial buildings below. The underground plant has been operating for the 4th year, 2 years more than the Loab. A completely closed cycle did not involve the participation of people. Robots made robots here, production lines were repaired and supplied with robots, and even quality control was carried out by ubiquitous machines. Tirelessly, without mistakes or interruptions, they excellently performed their work duties. However, these responsibilities had clear boundaries, and when they left, problems began that more versatile people should have dealt with. People like Loab. Harriets, have you checked the release devices? Of course, as you can see, only the emergency lights are on. Did you check them with the indicator? Well, yes. Harriets hesitated a little, thought for a second and waved it away. Yes, I checked it out. We're going down. It's not the first time, my God. I actually have the first one. I've only been here for an introductory briefing and guided tours. I hope you'll put this in my personal file. It's strange that the security automation didn't work. You're right, it's weird, but there are no miracles. It doesn't happen. Only the ones that were messed up by the last shift. Harriets didn't even try to smile at their classic joke. As they descended the vertical staircase, exchanging 100 steps for another, Loab thanked the designers for the dim emergency lighting and protective casing, which did not allow them to see how high they were. They could have taken a shortcut by using one of the freight elevators, but decided that might be a bad idea. If the main line of the central conductor is faulty, this could affect the operation of the elevators. To get the unlucky emergency workers out of the faulty elevator, they would have to call another change of electricians, and this would hardly have pleased their management. At what point did the drone fail? Almost a kilometer. It's a long way to crawl. It'll take us 2 hours to get there, as long as we don't have to walk all the way to the end of the line. As long as it doesn't take a week, Loab. Our heads will be flying by evening. Don't be angry that I dragged you down. You know all the theory anyway, and you've worked at the top levels. We just need a result. Otherwise, our department will not exist at all. Loab nodded. It's such a time now that jobs are not being thrown around. It wasn't that Loab was ready to follow all the moronic orders of his superiors and violate the law or the order, but Harriets was the kind of guy who could seriously poison his life and future career if necessary. Loab threw away unnecessary thoughts and concentrated on his heavy breathing. The tunnel of the central conductor was not designed for walking. I constantly had to bend down or step over suitable highways, sometimes climb to a height or even crawl like a plast. It was unnerving and exhausting. Loab began to feel feverish, his eyes were blurred and shaky, he was already beginning to lose himself in time, but suddenly they saw something that was not part of the cable lines. A black patch of burnt insulation, glass and porcelain stretched a good 3 or 4 meters high and to the sides. The drone's partially vaporized carcass lay almost in the center, and it was barely recognizable. It flared up well. It's a nightmare. Do you recognize this section of the chain, Loab? What could have gone wrong like that? I don't even know. It is possible that one of the live feeders has become disconnected and short-circuited with the main line or its body. It happens that they fall short and they unscrew from the vibrations. I'll take a look now. The barely discernible blue lines of the workshop drawings flowed on Loab's protective glasses, found suitable ones and overlaid on top of the burnt areas. Damn, this is the connection segment of the 1st and 4th lines. I should have come here right away. Do you see where the disorder is? Not from here. So, there is a 3-phase connection, backup and main, it looks like in the drawings. There's a low current power supply box. A nightmare, about 400 sensors. There are feeders for individual devices and lines. Everything seems to be in place. We need to take a closer look. The feeder could not detach itself, go to the side and lock onto the body. The operator would have noticed. I don't know. Flashes and flames. The sensors would have worked. Maybe the drone turned out to be an even bigger loser and stepped on an unreliable mount. Or maybe he found the place of the gap and got hit. Or something happened to the insulation. Have we been here long? We checked it 3 months ago. Well, yes. The same drones, and they don't have such good optics for visual inspection. Over there, I see liquid leaking from somewhere above. I don't even know what it is. A cooling circuit? It could easily corrode. Are you saying that this is our joint? I don't think so. We didn't violate those regulations. Either the installers, or a flaw in the project. Okay, let's go take a look around and order the materials to be delivered here. I won't carry it myself. It looks like you'll have to install tires and change part of the conductor. I just hope the sensors don't go off. I hope they're just de-energized. We'll be changing and laying them for another year. We don't care who writes out a normal stacker drone. Tires. Such power lines cannot be mounted through tires, only by welding. We will mount it on the bus to start the lines today. And we'll order a welding bot for the Christmas weekend. And what, will you have to go out on holidays? Don't fuck off, Loab. They'll pay you extra overtime. You don't work that hard to get caught like that. Okay, we'll figure it out. Loab took a couple of steps forward, searching the charred blackness with the light of his flashlight and trying to make out something in it. He felt uneasy again, the hair on his arm began to move, and he stared at the drone again. Something's wrong. What are you talking about? Did you find something else? Look at the bottom of the case. It's still smoldering. And the smoke seems to be coming. Well, it is made of non-burning dielectrics. It should have gone out almost immediately. And he's smoldering. To hell with it, it can't be restored anyway. Continue your inspection. No, wait, give me the indicator. Why? He said. Loab, who had turned pale, did not even need to bring the probe to the ground or the walls of the tunnel. The indicator light on it was barely visible in the dark, and that meant only one thing. Jesus Harrods, we're energized. You said you checked the release plates. Well, yes, I checked a couple. Everything was fine. The automation worked as it should. Only the emergency lights and power outlets for tools are on. You should have checked everything. That's it, damn you. Harrods looked at him as if he were an idiot, tore the probe out of his hands, poked at the nearest wall and also turned pale. No sudden movements, Harrods. Don't touch anything, watch where your hands and your head are, so as not to touch anything. We will now calmly turn around, walk 50 meters to the emergency disconnectors of this section and de-energize it. But first, you're going to report upstairs that there are 2 people under tension. Are you crazy? I'm going to get fired. Get fired? You'd better focus on not leaving here in body bags. They already know anyway. They're watching and listening. Did you forget about the camera and microphone in the glasses? Come on, damn you, move it. What were you thinking, Loab? Do you even realize that you only survived by a miracle? What the fuck did you do? One mistake. One wrong move and you're dead. There would be nothing to bury. The head of the security service, Pearson, screamed so that drool flew in all directions and his voice pressed Loab into the chair, as if on a roller coaster. The interrogation lasted for the second hour, and Loab began to imagine that the glass on the nondescript windows of the small room was about to crack, and at least some fresh air would be let in. The endless day did not even think of ending. Yes, there was a lot to do. The decouplers didn't work. It looks like the entire batch is defective. I don't know how else to explain it. The tunnel was energized. It was also dangerous to return. Even to the nearest exit point. But we found the cause of the malfunction. But, sir, if I hadn't tried to deflect the closed conductor, then most likely, after the final melting of the insulation, a full-fledged fire would have started and we definitely wouldn't have gotten out. Because of the smoke. I watched those videos and took a VR course on electrical fire safety. Believe me, sir, you don't want to be trapped in a narrow space where you can't see anything and you can't breathe. Well, I'm afraid to imagine what kind of damage would have been caused to production before it was possible to manually activate the decouplers at the bottom and pump out the air. Loab's tired but clear answer suddenly silenced the head of the security service, who calmed down before his eyes and turned to Harrods. Harrods, you're fired. What? Actually, I almost died there too. If you do that, I won't let it go. I'll sue your corporate asses. You will sue. And we love you. For forcing a junior specialist to get in there like cannon fodder, and even forgetting about the security protocol. And for supplying a security team from a muddy factory in Taiwan. Did you think I wouldn't find out who sold the supplier in the purchasing department? Supposedly, they have the best products, and the rest are impossible to work with. How much did you get on kickbacks? Otherwise, don't answer, we'll find out anyway. You will never find a job in this specialty again, we will take care of it. You'll be living in Bangladesh and climbing poles without insurance, figuring out what self-taught electricians have done. Or sign non-disclosure documents and get a junior position in the Vermont division. But on the condition that you're such a gray and lonely mouse that I'll never hear your name again. We will remove this case from your corporate case. I agree. Loab, the same offer applies to you, but you'll stay here and get a senior position. A year later. As soon as you finish your studies. Agree? Yes, sir. Don't ever do that again. It might seem like a brave thing to do, but it wasn't worth anything at all. You should learn to be realistic a little bit, kid. The rose-colored glasses through which you look at the world can shatter in seconds. It got dark. Loab left the interrogation room on stiff legs, went down the stairs to the first floor and went out into the courtyard. The skyscraper of the headquarters, where Loab worked, had one advantage. If you did not turn to face the entrance, then the rest of the block and the dotted buildings could not be seen. Only a cozy and quiet park, a piece of well-groomed forest in the midst of megalopolitan madness, protecting from the lights and expensive rest of the city. The phone was dead, and Loab had no energy to find a charger and call a cab. It was easier to spend the night at work, especially since he knew where to find the keys to the emergency room of the night shift with beds and a shower. The only unresolved problem was in his stomach, and after stress and many hours of hunger, he seemed to have lost his temper and kept talking, not shutting up. And without a phone, you can't pay for food delivery or vending machines. There were times when people carried wallets full of magnetic cards and cash soaked in dangerous bacteria. The food could be found in the dining room. If the automated line is in operation, it will be able to recognize his face and give him something to chew. It will withdraw from the account as much as necessary. And if it's turned off, he'll power it, because he's an electrician with a multi-tool and an indicator screwdriver in his pocket, damn him. And he has such a day that he can do anything. He only remembered the sensations from his adventure. Stuffiness, sweat, fatigue, the smell of burning something chemical, heavy breathing, an unpleasant heartbeat and attempts to calm down in a situation where he could be about to die. Harriets just froze when they noticed the first traces of smoke. If he had climbed alone, he probably would not have gotten out. But something worked in Loab that I didn't even know about. He could describe it as an inner movement of his whole nature, aimed at getting out of a very unpleasant situation. He did it. And somewhere next to his fear, still beating inside and grabbing his heart with clawed paws, he felt a certain relaxation and confidence of the winner. He returned to the building, went up to the second floor, walked through the hall and barely suppressed a triumphant cry when he saw that the doors of the dining room were open and the lights were on. He rushed there like a Super Bowl champion striker, but suddenly began to slow down with every step, as if defenders were hanging on him, until he stopped completely. It's too unusual a feeling. He always considered himself a music lover and a lover of experimentation. It was difficult to surprise him with the sound, but what he heard just did not fit into his head. A clear female voice flowed in streams, pushed off the walls and high ceiling, repeatedly amplified and completely mesmerized, merging into a majestic and beautiful melody. Afraid to breathe or make any noise, Loab stepped inside and froze again. The source of the sound was the frail figure of a young girl, wearing rubber gloves and a cleaner's uniform, sitting on her lap and furiously working with a rag and cleaning powder. "Why isn't the drone doing this job?" I burst out of his mouth, and he immediately regretted it. The girl jumped up in fright, blushed, and hurriedly turned away, trying to calm the trembling in her hands. The beautiful song stopped. "I'm sorry, sir, drones can't always do this job efficiently. Now a few pieces are being serviced by the supplier, the rest are cleaning the main building, and I had to take over the dining room. The night is too short. I didn't mean to break the routine, sir. I'm sorry I startled you. I'm not a sir at all. I'm a Loab. The electrician from the bottom. Well, since then. I'm not really an examiner. I'm sorry, please." The girl breathed a sigh of relief and turned around, her hands still shaking. When she turned around, Loab did not see any exquisite beauty or miracle in her appearance. She was a little taller, and otherwise completely ordinary, even if she was pretty, but Loab would hardly have noticed her in a crowd. But her voice was so unusual that Loab, like a child, was interested, ready to pester and ask 100 why questions. "You scared me, Loab. I thought it was some boss who was late at work, and that I was going to have problems." "Problems? Because of this? I can't even call it singing. It's too weak a word to what?" She looked at him in disbelief, ridiculously raising her once pierced eyebrow. "To describe the truck that hit me just now. What's it? Is this some kind of classical music? I think I heard it once at Christmas. It's an opera, the Diva cast by Vincenzo Bellini. Sometimes it is shown on cultural channels. I think I got all the words wrong. So I didn't learn them. I don't know what my sick brain changed them to, but it was obviously a nightmare, and I'm very ashamed in front of my teacher and everyone who knows Italian. I didn't understand a damn thing in terms of words, but it was great. It's amazing and so unreal that the human body is capable of making such a sound. They don't sing like that now. This is the first time I've heard this live. It's a very strange thing." "Don't strain yourself so much, Loab." The girl looked at him skeptically. "I know perfectly well how terrible I am. You don't have to hit on me, even though of all the tackles in the last couple of months, this one was certainly the cutest. But I'm not looking for a relationship. What are you even doing here at night? Some kind of duty? No. It's just been a long and unpleasant day. And I didn't hit on you, it's just that this has never happened to me too. To what? So that I can feel something like that inside. Incredible. What's your name? The girl raised her eyebrow again, looking at him with undisguised skepticism. Will you leave me alone if I tell you? Yes. She silently pointed at the interactive badge on her chest. Rue. Rue. It's a beautiful name. That's it, Romeo, cut it out or you'll get a reprimand for harassment. I have to work. I'm a Loab, Loab, without the R. The girl looked at him again, chewed the gum for a few seconds, and it became clear from her face that she was evaluating the idiot Loab or just pretending. Oh, and I see you're not very educated. Well, so am I. Is there anything else I can do for you, Loab? Actually, you can. Take me to a late dinner. Won't you burst if I add something else to your arrogance? I'm not being arrogant actually. I just got into a situation. My phone is dead, and the sockets are de-energized for the night by automation. Fucking fire safety. I haven't eaten in 12 hours. I'm starving. I'll get it back. How can the phone sit down? What are you talking about? Well, I haven't charged it in half a month and I hate wireless charging. They give me migraines. Directly from them? Did the doctor tell you that, or did some preacher on Bluetooth tell you that? Look how it all came together. You're folding it up. Come on. At least throw me something from a vending machine. They pay for good with kindness and for dinner with food. I'll order you a pizza tomorrow. And don't worry, you're not my type. If it were otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you so stupidly, and in general I would hardly have found the strength to come up and ask something. So what? Friends? Chapter 2. Apartment Rue, 3 days later. Well, that's what you're doing, Lo? He wanted to say something, but he couldn't find a phrase that would explain this strange morning, his lack of clothes, his bent knee, and the outstretched box with the first ring he saw, which was unlikely to fit. We've known each other for 3 days, Lo. 3 days. You're a funny guy, but it's a little early for such jokes. It didn't go in. He only found the strength to shake his head negatively and hold her serious and displeased gaze. Oh. You're not kidding, are you? You don't even try. Don't you think you're in a hurry, Lo? Maybe I'm just being nice to you for now, and then I'll suddenly turn into a vixen, get fat, and feed solely on your brain and credit card. Are you in a hurry to connect us with common taxes, insurance, and what else is such a step? She laughed, and Loab swayed uncomfortably, but didn't get up in a hurry. What does insurance and taxes have to do with it? The great equation. I want to hurry with you, Rue. I don't know. Yesterday I was walking home from work and realized that time is slipping through my fingers without you. I wanted to tell you so much, to do so much with you and for you, that I just lost control and didn't realize how. I ended up at Tiffany's. I love Tiffany's. Come on, show me what you're hiding there, you crazy raccoon. The girl's tenacious fingers tore the box out of his hands and deftly extracted the ring from a layer of foamed echelene. Biting her lips, she literally twisted the too small ring through the phalanx, like a nut for 17, and stared at the result. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a beautiful ring, and I never refuse gifts, even if my conscience advises. Give, take, beat, run. But I'm not saying yes, you're not crazy for me to say that to you on the 3rd day. I don't even know how long this will take. I haven't been in a relationship for more than 2 months. And anyway, it wasn't. I wasn't up to it. Is that what you're hoping to hear from me, Lo? I'm going to hurt you now. And I don't want to offend you. You're wearing a ring. Loab's wide, stupid and undisguised smile made her eyes narrow into slits, and she looked like a cobra about to jump on him. But she didn't make it. Listen, Rue, I'm not good at all these women and relationships either. I was thinking of switching to men altogether. Damn it, everything is much clearer with them, and I have a pre-order for a smart partner of the latest model, but the loan has not been paid for it. And I woke up today and realized that I don't want anything else. Except you, Rue. I don't care if you get fat or become a shrew. I want to be with you in the old school style, for better or for worse. And if you refuse me, I'll just walk next to you. Until the world ends around us. Will the world end? I certainly won't marry an adept of the new wave of agnostics or witnesses of the apocalypse. A great equation, really? Yes, it's just a saying. I watched one video, so it stuck, I don't know why. Yeah. You're just hitting on me too. I still don't understand why. Washington, D.C. neighborhood, 2 months later. Oh my God, Rue, why didn't you tell me? Loab felt very stupid in his new adult and serious business clothes, with a custom hairstyle and even a perfume that was not the most pleasant consultant for him. The feeling of his own stupidity and inattention was replaced by awkwardness, and then it became very painful for Rue, because he was going to meet her parents, and the cab brought them to the cemetery. Rue carefully took the harvested flower from his hands, freed its root system from the paper wrapper, carefully removed a clod of earth, placed it in a hole, and scooped it up with both palms. I opened a bottle of water and generously fertilized the ground around with drops. My father died when I was only 14. Crash. Rescuers did not have time to do anything. Mom died when I was 20. She was a medic who fought on the front line against HULV, the human leukemia virus. You probably don't remember that epidemic. It wasn't covered much, but it was quickly brought under control. It's a scary thing and very lethal. I did not see my mother all the time. She was not allowed to leave work first because of the constant quarantine, and then from the intensive care unit when she was already ill. I couldn't say goodbye. I had to leave music school and look for a job. That's why I'm so sad sometimes. Lo. Rue, don't say anything. I couldn't help but bring you here. I know that's not how you imagined it, and I seem very strange to you now. You don't seem like it. I understand everything. I'm here, Rue, I'm near, and I always will be. Thank you, she sighed and knelt down. Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom. Long time no see. You know, adult life sucks. This is Lo. He's my husband. It's a pity that you can't look into his honest, stupid but so loyal eyes. You would have liked him. I would have pissed you off first, and then liked you. You were right, I'm so old-fashioned, like I was born in the wrong century. Check out my ring. Rue in Loab's apartment, 2 years later. Is something wrong, Lo? You don't have a face on you. Don't scare me. He was sitting on the porch, in front of the entrance to the building, like some kind of homeless man and staring at one point. I didn't even recognize her right away. Yes, it happened. You don't have to come to work anymore. What? Are we bankrupt? Or what? Was I the only one who got cut? She was scared, and he immediately regretted what he had said and how he had said it. He looked at her. He took her hands and pulled her next to him. I tried to be affectionate. No, Rue, I was promoted. Well, finally? Not up to the senior electrician. They want me to be the lead energy engineer. They will give me a salary right away, but I will have to finish my bachelor's degree in 2 years. They can't give me a position with my education. But they'll give it to me when I graduate. They'll pay for my studies. Damn, Lo, are you sure? Who told you that? Is this a prank? Is Vider from the next department making fun of you again? No, I was called to the top. There was a commission. 4 bigwigs from the board and 2 consultants. Some kind of interview and I passed it, Rue. I passed it. They even printed the contract on paper, I signed it, and it's on our table. It's there, you can touch it with your hands, Rue. I can't believe it myself, but it's true. The head of security, Mr. Pearson, recommended me. He said that I might not be experienced, but I was extremely reliable, stress-resistant, and quick-witted. Over time, I'll become a good specialist if you let me grow up and raise me the way they need me to. They said they would give me a chance and that I was unlikely to disappoint them, but the contract would be for at least 10 years. As if I'm such an idiot that I'll change my mind. That's all it means. That you don't have to work anymore. You'll be back on welfare and you can finish your music studies too. The great equation, yes, you can sing again. You can achieve anything you want, there's enough money for all that. She breathed out a sigh of relief, freed her hands and sat down next to her in confusion, bizarrely crossing her flexible and thin legs. Hey, Lo. It doesn't matter anymore. How does it matter if it's the most important thing in the world? That's what I wanted. Work hard so that you can close it all. It's already closed, my love. I've been dragging my feet, but today is such a day that I should tell you about 2 promotions. Have you been promoted too? What? I don't understand. No, you idiot, you've been promoted. Before the father, and perhaps the father of the universe, or at least the father of the year, at least once. Well, don't look at me like that, I'm pregnant. The 9th week. I'm shocked myself. I was told that it was unlikely. Rue in Loab's apartment, 11 months later. Are you sure? Yes. Absolutely. 5 minutes ago they left the car and brought home something they couldn't believe existed. I don't know if I like this name or if it's all very strange. This little pink ball came out of me. Can you imagine? I can't believe it either. They were finally released from the hospital. Rue looked better physically, she regained her calmness, cynicism and cheerfulness, but she looked confused, as if she had just been woken up and given a difficult task. This worried Loab a little. He couldn't figure out for himself whether he liked the changes that had occurred in Rue during pregnancy or if something bad had happened to her. And I can't. Okay, say it, say her name. I want to hear it again. Astra. An asterisk. She doesn't look like a star. Rue frowned. How is it not similar? Isn't she dazzling and doesn't she exude a universal miracle and eternity that has suddenly been touched? It's blowing. She answered almost in a whisper and seemed to understand, as if she had finally discovered the answer she had been looking for so long. She couldn't take her eyes off their daughter, and Loab finally realized what had scared him so much. He chuckled. Rue would never love Loab the way she loved Astra. And that's not something he should be fighting. Suburban Atlanta, 2052 summer. Loab the rabid raccoon Moreno. Yeah? Am I in trouble, dear? A piece of toast almost fell out of his treacherously trembling hands. His wife looked at him sternly with her hands on her hips, and this did not bode well. The delivery service is unloading some huge thing in boxes on our lawn, and I'm absolutely sure that this is not a new pool. Is there anything you want to tell me? Loab bit his teeth, lowered his eyes shyly, and stormed out into the street. He calmed down there, returned to the house, hugged his wife and led her to the porch. Yes, I'm sorry. Hey guys, be careful, please, this thing is a real luxury, they don't make these anymore. Can you unload the boxes manually? I know they're freaking out, but I'll tip you handsomely. There will be 2.5 tons of spare parts and wheels. Right? Rue was expecting an explanation, not a nice conversation with the workers, and her eyebrows formed a menacing V. Loab shyly shrugged his shoulders and made one of his stupid faces, which it was impossible to be offended by. Oh, I'm terrible. It's not your gift, dear, and mine. Do you remember I sometimes told you about street racing and cool cars? Yeah. About 13 billion times. But I didn't really listen, I don't understand it, I'm sorry. This is a living legend. Toyota Supra A135. With a mileage of 12,000. The last real gasoline turbo engine with a capacity of 480 horses and a torque of 710 newtons per meter. Full rehabilitation after the shameful collaboration with BMW. After the prohibition of drift, as an unecological competition, such cars were no longer produced. This pile of boxes doesn't look like a car. Why the hell do we even need a car? It's enormously expensive. At my request, it was first sent to the factory, disassembled, repainted and replaced all the tired parts. And now I'm going to assemble it with my own hands. Well, as a hobby. With those claws. Will you pack it? Wow, honey, actually, you and I have assembled the most wonderful girl in the universe. In all the universes of the multiverse, you mean? Yes. Well, I'm sorry, I must have a hobby too. I'm not going to drive it or anything like that. It's not really a car, you can't just ride it. Insurance may be provided, but gasoline can only be ordered from private traders, and spare parts can only be ordered from ateliers. It's a luxury, but one that we can already afford, more than enough. I don't work for anyone else, but... And the Spiraltech plant is the leading power engineer. Rue mimicked him and made a sour face. A leading power engineer, who has a rather grown-up and already a little naughty teenage daughter, who will be glad if we leave her for the weekend. A leading power engineer who, you know, can take his beautiful hot wife, put her in the gorgeous velour bucket of his beautiful hot retro car, throw picnic food and a beautiful hot credit card in the trunk, which, remind me, seems to have no limit. That's it? Well, and then rush my beautiful hot wife along the Autobahn, collecting doubly envious glances, to the coast for a picnic or maybe to some store where they sell shoes that are chic enough for my beautiful and hot wife. And why the hell did we add a garage, I ask? We live once? One? It sounds good. Maybe, Mr. Rabid Raccoon, you are not such a lost man who needs to be constantly raised. That's right, I try. Wait, don't get all excited. If you forgot about the delivery, what else did you forget? I forgot about the delivery because I couldn't sleep a wink and thought about our daughter's premiere all night, my dear. Of course, I haven't forgotten. My hamstrings are shaking, as if I'm a teenager myself and I need to perform for the first time. It's a creepy and unpleasant feeling. And at the same time, I am happy and proud. I'm not comfortable either. Rue clung to him, hugged him and buried her face in his. Do you remember how we sent her to the ballet? Yeah. I remember how you were against it. Well, I read a lot of horror stories about training and I really didn't want our child's cute rabbit paws to get calluses, abrasions and bruises. I didn't want her to be hurt. This is a very serious kind of art and training. I didn't know that you can practice from the age of 2 and that serious loads will not be given immediately. In my opinion, the only serious thing here is your attempts to hold back tears when you see her doing what she likes. Yeah, that's weird. It's like I see 2 of my beloved women at once, at one point in space. The great equation, what are you talking about again? Is that so weird? Well, now I'll try to explain. You love singing very much, music lives in you, and she loves dancing very much, music lives in her. No one and nothing bothers her, and it's like she's dancing for the 2 of you. I would not be surprised if one day she was invited to any world-famous theater, and she would become a great prima ballerina. I can easily imagine this in reality. She's like a seed that you planted, an extension of you. Like your thoughts and dreams that have become reality, but in her. And at the same time, we did not take out her brain and force her to do what we once did not do. She came to it all by herself and is hiding from it, like from a new moronic music that I no longer understand. Do you understand? I know you're a bit of a mess, Loab. Okay, let's go. It's time to pack up. I need to find you at least one piece of decent clothing. Can you make a snobbish face, like when you were talking about your new car, and watch the whole performance so that everyone around you understands for sure that we are her parents? You can count on me, Mrs. Raccoon. Chapter 3. Intensive Care Unit, Angel Hospital, Atlanta, December 2038. Simulation completed. The cloudy spots in the halos of bright lamplight slowly turned into faces hidden by glasses and medical masks. Under their attentive gazes, Loab's feelings and thoughts returned, the first of which was a tearing pain in the neck and back of his head, as if he had overdone champagne or inhaled something forbidden, and then a truck ran over him. What happened? Where am I? Did I have an accident? You're all right, Mr. Loab. You are currently in the intensive care unit recovering from the simulation and treatment. You did a great job. We succeeded in everything. What did you do? My head is splitting. Wait, my daughter had a premiere. That's why my eyes went dark, my chest hurt, and I collapsed there like a stone. Damn me. Did I scare everyone there? Did my heart fail me? I was undergoing a freaking checkup. What's wrong with me? No, Mr. Loab, you're cancer. How many fingers am I pointing now? 7? What the hell kind of cancer? I get checked every 6 months. Did you miss my cancer? Are you completely fucked up? Have you even seen how much I pay for insurance? You may feel some confusion, Mr. Loab. This is normal and will pass. We will conduct several cognitive tests to assess your condition. What year were you born? In the 13th. And why these tests? I don't remember hitting my head. Have you called my wife yet? Focus, Mr. Loab, you were born in the 13th century. Which one is it now? 52nd. I'm about to turn 40, I'm a leading energy engineer at Spiral, and I love my wife, cars and daughter. I'm fine, Doc, although I'm a little scared to wake up like this. Let's get in touch with my wife, because she can't find a place for herself. I can feel it from here and it makes me sore, Doc. There's no reason for her to be so nervous, we're planning a second one. The doctor looked at him strangely, with a certain mixture of sadness and concern, but immediately hid it behind a professional smile and benevolence. Oh, Mr. Loab, your wife. Although yes, of course. We will definitely call her. Right now, you don't have to worry. Everything will be fine. The residual effects from the simulation will be gone soon. His second visitor was a nurse. She gave him some kind of injection, and he fell asleep again. I barely woke up, not realizing at all how much time had passed, and met with a third visitor, a serious-looking man with a tablet. He was dressed in civilian clothes, despised masks, gloves and goggles, but he smelled like a doctor from a kilometer away. How are you feeling, Mr. Loab? To be honest, I've never felt so lousy. It was like a truck had passed, noise in my head, nausea, weakness. They also injected me with sleeping pills for some reason. Is everything okay with me? Are you hiding anything from me? You're fine, Mr. Loab, considering your condition, of course. And this is very good news. What is the last thing you remember before you came to your senses? More tests? Did I hit my head when I fainted? Are you worried about my gears? They're fine, they just hurt. It was a good day. I felt great, if that's what you're talking about. No unpleasant sensations. I was a little nervous, maybe. Although it was almost a sleepless night. But I kind of took care of myself. It's rare for me to have such stress. It's not even stressful. Has my wife arrived yet? More specifically, Mr. Loab, what events do you remember? Well, my long-awaited package has arrived. This is a Toyota Sue. Well, how do I explain it to you? I've been wanting to buy one retro car for a long time. My father had a similar one. Not so fast, and not so whole, but damn it, so charismatic. And how it waters? I also wanted to. And this year my wish came true. Plus, my daughter had a premiere. She does ballet. I've already seen her dance 10,000 times, probably. But here. We went with Rue and it was, you know. Well, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. Even when I took her after giving birth, it wasn't that strong. Now I even feel a pleasant excitement. I guess I got very nervous and it knocked me down. Come to think of it, I might have been exhausted lately, but not from work, but from this nasty sore. You know, damn it, understand where your fatigue ends and your age begins. Mr. Loab. You've never had a daughter. Loab looked at the doctor like he was an idiot, but he wasn't joking and was more than serious. What are you talking about? This is not the 52nd year, Mr. Loab, but the 39th. You were diagnosed just 8 months ago. You lost consciousness while working and ended up in the hospital. Standard immune therapy did not work. It happens, a strong reaction. Your treatment was very difficult, and we had to put you in an artificial coma and put you into a simulation. You've had to travel a very long and difficult path. It took not 2 courses of chemotherapy, but 8. A series of operations. Dialysis. Kidney rescue. Removal of 2/3 of your liver. Vascular cleansing and a number of minor heart surgeries. You've been out for almost 6 months. Now you are completely healthy and will recover within 1, maximum, 2 years. You've never been married and you've never had children. You are not 39 years old, but 26. Did you understand what I said? What are you talking about? What kind of coma? What kind of simulation? Don't worry, Mr. Loab, it's all good. You're safe. The simulation is just a vivid dream that was generated by stimulating certain areas of your brain using a special device. It's not even virtual reality, but rather your fantasy based on your life experience, feelings, memory, and expectations from life. The computer program only straightened its course in a completely positive direction, so that dreams would not turn into nightmares. Most patients perceive the simulation as a dream, do not remember the contents of their fantasies and easily return to normal life, but in 4 to 8% of cases, fantasies are too vivid and similar to reality. But don't worry, Mr. Loab, this effect will pass soon. Is this some kind of joke? She's a failure, mister. Activate my chip, I want to call my wife. Immediately. You do not have a chip, Mr. Loab, you have never connected to this technology. Moreover, you wrote a rejection of implantation 4 years ago. Even for medical purposes, we cannot implant sensors and chips in your nervous system, spine, or brain. As a human being and as a certified doctor, I would highly recommend that you change your mind and revoke this refusal. This is not an area where you should stay a virgin. Chips save a lot of lives. You almost lost yours because of stupid and fashionable digital austerity. Please consider your behavior. Rest is recommended for now, but in a couple of days I think we will be able to return your phone. Did I not understand? How is there no chip? Did you delete it? What the hell for? I want another doctor. Immediately. Are you some kind of escaped patient from the mental ward? Security. You have very limited insurance on this, Mr. Loab. You don't need any other doctor. Thank you that the corporation took care of all the expenses. There were a lot of them, to put it mildly, given the complexity and unpredictability of your clinical case. Now get some rest. It seems that another surprise has occurred, and besides your body, we will also have to restore your personality. We'll start tomorrow. You don't understand your luck yet, but you will. Psychotherapy room, Angel Hospital, 2 months later. A week without panic attacks and feelings of false reality is already a good result, my friend. A neuroimplant could solve this problem, but I understand why interfering with brain function scares you now, Loab. Perhaps after our treatment you will be able to change your attitude to this issue, but for now I will not push. How are you feeling overall? Loab tried to relax in the oversized chair, but he couldn't do it again. He stared at his hands, clearly remembering that they were missing coarse hair and a couple of scars, from his other life. A life that never happened. It's still lousy. It's worth at least a little effort to climb the stairs or lift something. I feel like an old man. Shortness of breath, weakness, sweat. Considering what you've been through, it's okay and it'll pass. You're doing great, Loab. You haven't even fully crossed the boundary of your youth yet, You have your whole life ahead of you, and this life will be long and eventful if you, of course, take care of yourself and follow the recommended precautions. I understand. You're beginning to understand. It's a difficult process, and no one expects instant results from you. Life has plunged you into shit too early. You have had a traumatic experience and you will have to digest it a little earlier and faster than your peers. In your letter, you mentioned a certain turning point. Do you want to discuss it? Yes, why not? That's what we're here for. Discuss it all? My mother called me. After the cancer, we started talking more often. She calls a couple of times a week. Apparently those maternal feelings have woken up again or whatever. So she called me on Sunday. She called again and again, but I couldn't pick up the phone. Why? I was afraid that there would be another person there. Not my mother. And this person will tell me that she has been dead for a long time and that the fact that we started communicating again was just my fantasy. That's where it all happened. Even the ambulance arrived. I had a heart rate of 200 and a hypertensive crisis. A complete stupor. And I knew it was all complete nonsense, but I couldn't stop. To break out of these rails, as if he was cutting himself round and round, winding himself up. Will it ever end? Honestly? Of course it will end. You're getting treatment. With such traditional methods, without neuroimplantation and VIR technologies, you will forget about panic attacks in a year, 2 at most. For so long? Said the guy who just let me live my life. Hey, how can you joke about it at all? It's time to start, Loab. If you look at it from the outside, then you fell into depression and deserved a couple of stable mental disorders. After sleeping well? That's ridiculous. You can't get back to normal because sleeping too well? No, well, I understand you, of course, who doesn't love to sleep. But not that much, Loab. It's time to move on. That's not how it works. I really miss Rue and Astra. You don't understand. Simulation. I know how it works, Loab. The simulation has shown you what you're aiming for. And it wasn't corpse sex, dog killing, terrorism, arson, or pedophilia that I sometimes have to deal with. The simulation has shown that you will be a great husband and father. And that you can make a career out of it. Inside, you're a wonderful person, and what's more, you're a great shot and citizen. So why are you upset then? It became clear what you really want and where you need to go. It's time to forget this little fake disappointment of waking up and make your dreams come true. But Cancer? He won't be back. You're the one who blew it, not us. Cancer was your stupid, childish mistake, Loab. We commit them all. 5 years ago, when I already had a wife and 2 adopted children, I drank twice my dose in a bar, went outside, called a car, got in it and turned off the autopilot. I've never driven a cab. I didn't have a license at all. I drove about 10 blocks and almost crashed into a cafe. In a cafe with real people, Loab. Because of people like me, the steering and manual driving functions began to be removed from cabs. I was already an adult and educated. I had a head instead of a pumpkin, and she was trying to think and behave like an adult. And yet, I just did this shit. And damn it, I think about that act every day. A little more and nothing could have been fixed. Yes, you made a mistake and got hurt, Loab. You could have medical checkups, wear a chip, and monitor your condition. There's nothing complicated about that. 200 million other citizens are not shy, although some of them, I'll tell you a secret, are definitely imbeciles and mentally retarded. Hell, you could just stick your finger in a fucking vending machine and do an express test. They stand in the corridors, at bus stops and on the subway. People do this just out of interest, to see their blood counts, or to review the diet that the machine makes up for them. The car. Or to see if they can keep drinking. You didn't do it, and it almost ended in tragedy. But it didn't end. The universal equation, as you like to say, gave you a chance to get out, and you got out. It's already over. Learn something useful from this lesson, don't repeat the mistake and move on. Life is given to you not for eternal reflection, but for development and for you to live it. Yes, don't look at me like that. It's hard to figure out exactly how to live life, but sitting in place with such a gray and lifeless face, looking at one point, you'll never know. It's always easier to find out by taking the first step. I do not know what to say. We can keep quiet while the corporate money is dripping, but they won't give me bonuses for that, you know. You know, buddy, I don't want to prescribe drugs for you, even though it hurts me to see you like this. I still hope for a result. As if they'd help me. They will help. They help everyone. You haven't become something exceptional since you've had an accident. I'll tell you a secret again, that sooner or later shit happens in any life. It's not a measure of luck or anything. Just statistics. And the drugs work. They'll stabilize your mood, lift it up, even if it's not good and normal, and you'll get a taste of it all again. Music, favorite TV shows, food, fresh air, and more. But we can't give them to you yet. I need you to remember the day you were diagnosed. I remembered it fully, without fragments. This will allow you to draw a line between reality and the dream in which you are lost. It's the easiest way to review your entire experience. Medications can interfere with this process. Therefore, we will have to be patient. 2 more weeks. If you can't remember, we'll try hypnotherapy or VR. Although I am against the methods associated with it. And if it doesn't help, then we'll just switch to medications. Honestly speaking. Yes, I know. It's lousy. Trust me, I've been alone with depression more than once. This is a very serious and dangerous disease. But we must not fight its symptoms, but destroy its root cause, overcome this crisis, make you stronger, defeat it forever. It's not a given that you'll have insurance covering a shrink in the future, and our services aren't cheap, you know? Yeah, and you're not doing a damn thing. Just sit here and chatter nonstop. I'm helping your cat brain to get out of the garland, where he jumped after seeing the first serious misfortune, like a stupid Christmas tree. The results will be available only in a couple of years. By the way, how are things at work? Not really, either. Harris is being trained as an energy engineer, all his shit has fallen on me, and he also asks everything 2 or 3 times on purpose, afraid of mistakes or malfunctions. He squeezed all the juices out of me. But at least work is a good distraction. I'm just tired of her. But I can't leave. The spirals won't let me go now until I've paid for the insurance, I think. And it would be stupid. Where else will I find a job during this time? Chapter 4. Atlanta, Spiral Tech headquarters, that very day 2038. Who is the senior shift electrician? For a moment, the image in Loab's eyes swayed and blurred, and an unfamiliar voice pulled him out of his half-sleep and hit him on the temples with a sharp hammer. He shook his head, almost choked on saliva, and rose from the table to meet the unexpected guests. It's like Harriet's today. He's sitting in the back office, right at the last door. Despite all his extensive experience answering video calls in his sleep, Loab found the answer insufficiently clear and corporate. He stretched as relaxed as possible, doing his best to pretend that he was tired right here at his workplace, because he is a very responsible employee, and not some disheveled idiot who was caught off guard. It was necessary to be so overlaid. And even at the beginning of the reporting quarter, the Black Jackets rarely went down to that floor, and their visits never promised anything good. I shouldn't have caught their eye at all. I wish I could close the door. Either the hangover and sleepless night made themselves felt, or today these guys were extremely gloomy. There were 2 of them, and they were in a hurry. Something unpleasant has happened. As soon as they disappeared through the door, Loab woke up the operator's workplace interface and requested diagnostics for all systems. At first glance, there were no serious accidents in the tangle of moving lines, circles and squares, red dots and any serious accidents. It was almost lunchtime, and the log from the night shift also showed nothing serious. Hey Loab, are you logged in? You look pale, Harris asked, looking at him with a touch of irony. I'm fine, sir. These gentlemen can't find a repair drone with the serial number 8. Is there anything you want to tell them? A drone? Loab was genuinely surprised. Why are they looking for him here? Is there no connection with him? No, Loab. They're looking for it here because you were the last person to take it, before Christmas, 4 months ago. Once a year, we check the condition of the housing dielectrics and the overall resistance. We are the only ones who have the tools for this operation. You forgot? Damn. It's true. The supplier no longer does this as part of our service agreement. My joint. The drone is still in our closet, I haven't touched it. It's already covered in dust. I'm sorry for this misunderstanding, Hurwitz turned to the Black Jackets. This guy works on a quota. You know, he's special. Gifted in his own way. Diversity and work for all groups. He will finish your drone today and send it to the workshop. And I'll make sure he gets fined a little bit. You know yourself that there should be no discrimination. Okay. Is the matter settled? The Black Jackets shrugged and left. Most likely, some kind of 6s of a really important boss, whom he does not hesitate to throw back and forth, imitating a burning workflow. Damn you, Loab. And the fumes are worth it. You should at least gargle with something. Or I took sick leave rather than come to work. I won't write a report on you, but only because I don't need any negative statistics or mentions. I'm going to be promoted. Settle the matter with the drone. Take him downstairs with a damn bucket of chocolate or cookies. Make sure this issue doesn't come up like a stinking piece of shit. If you don't, or if you set me up like that again, I'll fire you severely. Understood? Okay, boss. Can he wait until tomorrow? It takes about 8 hours to test it, and it's already lunch. I don't feel very good for hard work. Are you completely fucked up? Tomorrow, if the issue is not resolved, collect the manatees. And you will do everything according to the regulations, as it should be. I'll check it out. Atlanta, Spiral Tech headquarters, 8 hours later. I'm Mr. Pearson's son. I'll ask you a few questions, if you don't mind. Do I have problems? The shaven-headed security chief was trying his best to look friendly, but friendliness was the last thing on his mind. No, buddy, you don't have any problems. We just want to figure out what happened. What happened? I hadn't eaten properly all day, I was too lazy to cook. I played all night and drank energy drinks, hardly slept. Harrods overwhelmed me with work. Well, deservedly, I screwed up. Well, he fainted, it happens. The fool himself. I'll be watching you. Is it because I went to work in such a state? No, son, that's not why. Is there anything else you want to tell us? Are you sure? I use drugs, but only those that I can officially buy, if that's what you're talking about. And I've never done this before a shift. Only on vacation, and on holidays. A couple of times a year at most. You have my blood test. Yes, there is. However, the blood test before last Christmas hardly belongs to you. A couple hundred markers don't match, you know. You probably didn't want to pay taxes and extra insurance for your addiction, so you bought blood from some not-so-cowardly guy. Did you know that such forgery is a federal crime? Wow, no. This is most likely a medical error. Doctors are constantly messing up. The tests were mixed up. I didn't do anything like that. You can't prove it. We won't prove it. You were careful. And we didn't really follow. What's done is done, Loab. Well, off the record. I'm a law-abiding citizen and I'll never break any laws, okay? I understand everything and I don't want anyone to have problems because of me. There won't be any. All? Am I free? Pearson did not answer him, clasped his fingers, looked sadly, shook his head. It's a contractor, he said quickly. He won the tender for medical examinations. The negotiations took place at the very top. They have not been doing their work in full for a year now. You're not the first time. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't know there were violations. None of this is really your fault, we admit it. Hey, what's going on? You'll have to stay a little longer. Look, nothing terrible happened, and I just don't want to get involved in your shitty murky business. I have no complaints, I am ready to sign the papers. Mr. Pearson was silent for a long time. Loab was already sweating a lot, and he was scared. The silent scene was disrupted by two men in protective suits who entered the security room and forced Loab to close his eyes. Of course you'll sign the papers, kid. Your life will depend on it now. We've got a deal. You don't divulge too much, and you keep quiet. Who are these people? I'm not going anywhere with them. Don't you get it yet? The rapid test did not show the best blood counts. We would like to make sure that everything is in order. These gentlemen from Medchi, they will do a number of more tests, and if necessary, you will go with them. It's about your health. Given the somewhat stalemate in the issue of healthcare legislation that has developed between our parties, the corporation will cover all costs under the current insurance. But just try to blurt out something unnecessary and it's all over, buddy. Angel Hospital, owned by Medchi Corporation, a little later. Cancer? What are you talking about? I'm only 25. We're sure, Mr. Loab. We checked it repeatedly. You have a rare subspecies of pancreatic carcinoma. It is one of the most aggressive and rapidly progressing types of cancer. At the moment, you are actually in the 4th stage, but, fortunately, so far without metastases. What is the 4th stage? What are you talking about? I feel fine. You have been feeling tired and intoxicated for a long time. They just ignored it and destroyed the body with doping. You should have had chronic pain, but given the amount of non-narcotic non-prescription analgesics in your blood and your apparent addiction to them, we are not surprised that you did not notice this symptom either. Are you serious? Isn't this some kind of corporate training? Do I really have cancer? Oh, there's nothing to worry about. You have made a number of mistakes and neglects in organizing your lifestyle. But, fortunately, we made it in time. This is a serious condition, but it is easily treatable. It will take 10 days to synthesize the immune drug, a course of 40 days, followed by a couple of months of rehabilitation and follow-up. And everything. And the company will actually pay for this treatment? Yes. The insurance company would have paid for it too, but not in a clinic of this level. That's a little soothing. I've watched TV shows on this topic, but I've never been particularly interested in Ugh, damn it, how bad will it be? Only honestly. Reactions and complications during immune therapy are very rare and are easily stopped by drugs. So I think it's going to be pretty good. You may feel unwell and have a slightly high fever with weakness, but nothing really terrible. Don't be afraid. We're not in the 20th century. Angel Hospital. 20 days later. What's wrong, doctor? Where am I? You're in the intensive care unit. Your life is not in danger. What? What happened? I thought there was nothing to be afraid of. I don't remember how I got here. You have started an unexpected immune response to our drug. You lost consciousness right on the drip. This is a very rare complication. The body attacked the medicine in itself. Our treatment is not working. And now what? Am I dying? We're all dying, Mr. Loab. Your time has not come yet. Not all treatment regimens are exhausted. In 4 days, we will try another one that has proven itself well. What is it? A couple of radiation sessions, a break and 1 or 2 courses of chemistry. Are you crazy? I saw what kind of shit it was. I want another doctor. Another doctor will tell you the same thing, Mr. Loab. If you wish, you can choose oncologists in our database, and we will arrange a commission. However, if I were you, I would by no means postpone the treatment. It could cost you your life. City Cemetery, 8 months later. That's how it happened. Loab finished his story, sighed and stared at the graves of others, which he had chosen by chance, but in a beautiful place and so that he would not be disturbed. The damn shrink told me to bury you. If I cannot forget the fact that you lived somewhere in another life, then I must say goodbye to you and bury you as if you had died. I miss you girls so much. Everything is not as good here as it was with us. Every day I wake up alone, and I remember that you are not in this life of mine. Everything immediately becomes so black and unbearable. And there is no way out of this. It's like I'm in prison. Loab tried not to cry, but his eyes wouldn't listen. I forgot not only the beginning of the treatment, but also a couple of drug stories. Maybe they were the reason for the fog in his head and problems with memories? I don't know. Now I'm afraid that something else will be revealed. I don't quite understand. It turns out that my brain decided to run away from what kind of shit I am. It wanted to live a completely different life. A completely different one, do you understand, Rue? And I even agree with him. Disgusted with myself. I would have run away too. God, what a disgusting year. I wish it would end soon. Spiral Tech Head Office, December 30th, 2038. That was the last time it happened to him that day. He nodded to Haritz, who was going home, and stared at one point. Haritz didn't pay attention, didn't even say goodbye, and most likely thought that Loab would just keep working, that he wanted to curry favor or help his beloved boss not mess up on the eve of an imminent promotion. And Loab was just turned off. That's what he called it. He sat motionless and stared somewhere in front of him, not reacting to anything, and losing his sense of time, and then he could not remember what he was thinking at all and what was happening around him. He woke up suddenly. A red error flash blinked on his monitor screen, but then went out. A false alarm. It's just a sequence of electrons that formed something that didn't exist, and then lost its shape. Like his fantasies once were. It got dark. The working day was over long ago. Loab went out onto the empty road near the park, looked around the parking lot and sadly noted that not a single cab was left. They had no reason to be on duty in a working-class neighborhood that was empty at night. I took out my phone and got upset again. It was discharged. Loab wasn't following him at all. He must have a charger somewhere in his desk. The thought of the mess in his drawers, the search, the waiting, and the nighttime drive to an empty apartment made him ache. It's better to just fall asleep somewhere at work. I don't care if I'm in a chair. I just don't want anything. Except for the coffee. And a donut. 2 or 3 donuts. He didn't understand how his feet took him to the second floor, to the cafeteria. The distribution line is obviously cut down, and he won't be able to pay for groceries from the vending machine without a phone. What was he counting on anyway? Some kind of Christmas miracle? He froze in the doorway as if rooted to the spot. He shuddered and felt his heart almost jumping out of his chest from fright. He wasn't alone in the building. Not alone in the dining room. He was startled by a sharp sound, the sound of a voice that seemed to bark in his ear and immediately turned into a barely audible but rhythmic whisper. A girl in a janitor's robe sat with her back to him at one of the tables, shaking her head to the beat of the music and methodically sketching something in her sketchbook by hand. A whole shift of cleaning drones was bustling around her. Just like Loab, they were startled and startled again by a sharp and hoarse growl, which the singing girl suddenly switched to. What is this? Some kind of classic? The girl didn't even flinch, turned to him, still shaking her head and smiled, cheekily and a little stupidly. No. It's jazz. That kind of shit is rarely listened to nowadays. My name is Ruth. And you're the electrician from below, I remember you. He fixed our coffee line once. What's your name again?